Hello and welcome. In this video, we're going to learn how to integrate Discord into a Node.js application and how to use webhooks to send messages to a specific channel, how to create a complete bot to handle user messages, commands, and many other features. So Discord is a free voice, video, and text chat platform designed for creating communities. It allows users to communicate with others inside servers, which are organized into channels for different topics. It's widely used by gamers, creators, and various groups to connect, collaborate, and share content. Users can also interact via direct messages, make voice or video calls, and share media. A lot of companies use Discord as a communication platform for their employees. So before we start coding, to use Discord and create a bot, we need a Discord account. So you can visit Discord official website, which is discord.com. And we can download Discord app on our machine or use directly on the browser. I'll be using on the browser during the tutorial, so I'll click on login on the top right. So if you don't have an account yet, you can click on register here on the bottom and it will ask some personal details. Once you're done, you can click on continue. It will send an email to the address you inform so you can confirm your account. Since I already have an account, I'll click on already have an account. And let me log with one of my personal accounts here. Okay, so this is Discord homepage. And note that this is a brand new account without any servers yet, without friends as well. So we're going to test everything from scratch. So let's start by creating a server. And next we'll create channels inside this server. A Discord server is an online space where people communicate via text, voice, and video. It's organized into channels with roles controlling permissions. Servers can be public or private and often use bots for automation. And to create a new server, we can click on the plus sign here on the left, saying add a server. And on the create our server dialog, I'll select create my own. Next, we can choose between a community server or a friend server. Community server are invite-only spaces designed for people to share, connect, and learn from others all over the world who share common interests. And a friend server are invite-only spaces as well, but designed to discuss, connect, and share with your friends or smaller groups. So I'll choose for me and my friends option. Next, we need to give a name to our server, and I'll just leave the name that is suggested here. And we can also add an icon to the server if we want, but I'll just leave without it for now. And we can click on create. Perfect, our server is created, and all servers we create or join, it will appear on the left side here. And whenever we create a new server, it automatically created two channels called general. One is a text channel, where members can chat, share images, links, and engage with written conversation. And a voice channel, where members can join to talk using voice, and some also support video and screen sharing. We can view the options for these channels by clicking on top of it with the right button. And we can invite members, edit the details, and even delete these channels. Now, for our first example, let's create a new channel. And from our application, let's say whenever a new user registers to our application, we'll send a message to this channel informing that a new user just signed up, showing the name of the user as well. So let's create a new channel by clicking on the plus sign here. And we can select as text or voice. So I'll just leave as text. And the name of this channel, I'll add something like new-users. And we can click on create channel. Perfect, here's the channel we just created. Now to send messages directly to this channel from our application, we need to create something called webhook, which are specially designed to communicate with a channel in a server. A webhook is an HTTP endpoint that allows external applications or services to send automated messages like notifications or updates to a specific Discord channel. And to create a webhook, select the channel that you want to create the webhook and click on Edit Channel. Or click with the right button and select Edit Channel. Now select the Integrations option on the left. And on the Webhooks option, click on Create Webhook. Perfect, here's the webhook. Now we can click on top of it to change the name. So let's add a new name here, saying something like new user notification. And the channel here is correct, new users. And we can click here on the bottom on Save Changes. So now we have a new webhook URL that we need to call from inside our application, passing the message that we want to send. We'll be back here soon to copy this URL and paste on our application. So we can get started on coding. I'll be using VS Code for this tutorial, but feel free to use any other code editor you like. I have an empty folder open here on VS Code called Discord with Node.js. And let's start by installing the dependencies we'll be using. So I'll open the terminal here on the top. And we could initialize a Node.js application by typing npm init command, but I'll just start by installing the dependencies directly. So I'll type npm install. And for this first example, we'll just need a library to make HTTP requests to the webhook URL we just created. So I'll be using Axios, and it's a good practice to store webhook URLs inside a secure environment file. So for this, I'll install .env. Okay, we'll install other dependencies soon, but for now this is fine. We can press enter. Perfect, dependencies installed, and now we have a new package JSON file here with both dependencies we just installed, Axios and .env. Now here in the root of our application, let's create two files. The first one I'll call index.js, and it's where we're gonna write our code. And I'll create another file called .env to store our channel webhook URL, but along the tutorial, we'll be adding more variables here when we create our bot, like tokens, client IDs, and other sensitive information. So I'll create a new variable here called channel underscore webhook underscore URL. Usually I like to create these environment variables all in uppercase, but it's up to you. And this is equals to. Now let's copy the channel webhook URL from Discord that we just created by clicking on copy webhook URL and paste inside the .env file. Great! Now inside the index.js file, we need to call this URL using Axios, passing the message we want to send. So I'll start by importing Axios dependency here on the top. So const Axios equals to require Axios. And we also need to import the .env dependency to initialize the environment variables inside the .env file here to load our environment variables. So above the Axios import, I'll add require directly, and inside .env, and here on the end, I'll add .config method to initialize .env. Now let's simulate that we have an application and a new user signs up to this application. And the application might be using Express, for example, to organize the routes, like a register route or a sign up route. So to emulate this, I'll create a new async function called register. And as a parameter, I'll add the name of the user that is signing up to the application. Of course, in a real application, we might have more details here like email, password, but let's just add the name of the user here so we can send on the channel. And inside this function, I'll add a try block and a catch block with an error parameter. So if something went wrong, let's just write a message on the console. So I'll add console.error and inside the error parameter, .message. So if something goes wrong, we can see just the error message on the console and not the entire error object, because it might have a lot of information that we won't need. And inside the try block, let's use Axios to call the webhook URL. So I'll add await and call Axios dependency we imported on the top. And we need to make a post request to the webhook URL because we're going to send a content inside the request. And the first parameter here is the URL. So we need to get it from inside the .env file here. So let me copy the variable name here. And to access the variable inside the .env file, we need to add process.env. The name of the variable, so I'll paste here. Okay, and the second parameter is the data we want to send to the webhook. So I'll add an object, and we need to send a property called content, which is the message we want to send. So I'll add backticks here, and $sign and curly braces. And inside, let's add the name parameter here from the function. And I'll add something like just registered, for example. And if this works, let's write a message on the console. So console.log, and I'll add message sent successfully to channel. Now let's call this function below here. So register, and the name of the user, let's add John Doe, for example. Okay, now let's run the index.js file. So here on the terminal, let me clear and type node index.js or just index and hit enter. Great, we got on the console message sent successfully. Now let's check on Discord. Let me close this dialog here. And here it is, John Doe just registered. And note here on the top of the message, it shows new user notification, which is the name we added to the webhook. And we can change this whenever we want. Now, besides a text message, we can send an embed message, which is a formatted message that allowed for rich content like structured text, images, links, and other visual elements. And to send an embed message, instead of setting the content property, let me remove from here, we can add the embeds property, which is equals to an array of objects, and each object is an embed message, so we can send just one or multiple messages. In our case, we'll just send one. So I'll add the properties inside this object, and soon we'll see the result inside the Discord new users channel. So we can add the title property, and here I'll add a happy title, something like yay, because a new user just registered, that means it's something good. And we can also send a description, and I'll add something like a new user just registered. And we can add a colored border to the message by adding the color property. And this accepts a hexadecimal color code or a decimal integer representing the color. So I'll just add a bluish color here. Okay, now we can set a property called fields, which is used to add a key value pairs. We'll see soon how this looks. And this is equals to an array of objects as well. And we need to set the name property. And here I'll add user name, and then the value property. And here we can add the name parameter from the function, which holds the name of the user. Now let's add another object here with the name property again. And let's show the date that the user registered. So I'll add date registered, and then the value property, which I'll add equals to new date. Now, if we leave it like this, it will show these details inside the field property, one below the other. If we want to show them side by side, here on the username field, we can add a inline property equals to true, and inside the date register as well, inline equals to true. Let's show side by side so we can see how it looks. Now, we can also add a footer property to show a small message on the bottom. And this is equals to an object. And we need to add the text property. And let's show, for example, how many users we have registered on our app. And I'll add something like we have 100, for example, users registered. And we can display an icon on the left side of the footer text by setting the icon underscore URL property. And I'll just paste the manfred.io logo URL here. Okay, we can also send an image property to display an image inside the message, which is equals to an object. And we need to set the URL property. And I'll just paste a URL of a smile image. Great, let's save this and test again. We're already calling the register function here on the bottom. So on the terminal, let me clear and run again node index. Okay, message sent successfully to channel and here on Discord. Perfect. Here's how the embed message looks like. The yay here as the title, and then a new user just registered for the description. And here we have the fields we set, the username, John Doe, and the date register equals to the current date and time. We could format this date and not just send a raw JavaScript date, but this is fine. the happy image, and here's the footer with the manfra.io icon, and the text we have 100 users registered. So this is just a simple example so you can see which properties you can use and configure for the embedded message. Awesome. Now let's build a more complex example by creating a bot, which is an automated service that can perform tasks on a Discord server. It can send messages, receive and handle messages, respond to commands, manage users and roles, and perform various functions like playing music, moderating chats, providing data from a database, for example, and many other functionalities. So to create a bot, we need to head over to the Discord developer portal website, which is discord.com/developers. And make sure that you're logged in on your Discord account. I'm already logged in here. And we need to create a new application. As you can see, we don't have one yet. So we can click on New Application on the top right. And we need to give a name to our application. So I'll just call my bot, for example. And I'll check the terms of service and click on Create. Then it asks to confirm that we're not a robot. And perfect. This is our Discord bot dashboard. As you can see, we can add an image to our bot, a description as well. And the application ID here is a unique ID for our bot. Now, for the user to install our bot on its server, we need to generate a URL that contains some permissions that we can choose. For example, allowing our bot to send messages, manage users and roles, manage channels, and many other permissions. So the user then can visit the generated URL and allow the installation inside a server of its choice. To generate this URL, we can select the OAuth 2 option here on the left, and we can scroll down to the OAuth 2 URL generator. And here we need to select the scopes and permissions our bot will need. So here we can select the bot scope, and note that below here it shows the bot permissions that we need to provide to our app. And for this first example, let's select the send messages permission under the text permissions to allow our bot to send messages. But we could select other permissions here. Let's say, for example, if our bot needs to create or delete roles, we can select the manage roles here. If, for example, our bot needs to ban members from the server, we can select the ban members permission here. So later we'll add other permissions for further examples. And if we scroll down, here's the generated URL that we need to send to users to invite them to our bot. So let me copy this URL here. And let me open a new tab on the browser and paste the generated URL. Great, so it's saying that my bot wants to access my Discord account. Down here we can select the server that this bot will be installed, and we can leave the manfra.io server, which is the only one we got, and click on continue. And here it asks to confirm the permissions that will be granted. In our case, we just select the send messages permission. So we can click on authorize, verify that we're not a robot. Perfect, we got a success message here. That means our bot is installed. Let's check on the Discord tab. And let me open the general channel. And we got a message here saying my bot hopped into the server. And if we click here on the show member list on the top right, here's the my bot, which is offline for now, but we'll put online soon. And note that there's a app tag here on the right, and this indicates that this is a third-party application integrated into the server. So let's put our bot online and start coding functionalities to it. Back on VS Code, I'll create a new file here on the root called bot.js. And inside this file is where we're going to create all events for our bot. For example, when a new message is received, when a new member joined the server, and many other events. And to connect our code to the application we created on the Discord developers portal, we're going to use a powerful JavaScript library called discord.js that allows developers to interact with the Discord API and create bots for Discord servers. You can visit the library's official website, which is discord.js.org. And you can check the documentation by clicking on Docs. And there's a lot we can do with this library, from simple tasks like sending messages to complex interactions like managing servers permission, handling events, creating commands, and many other features. So let's install Discord.js dependency. So here on the terminal, let me clear and type npm install discord.js. Okay, dependency install, let me clear. Now on the bot.js file, let's import the discord.js dependency on the top. So const, and I'll add an empty object, equals to require, discord.js. And inside the object, we're going to extract the client class. The client class is the main object that connects our bot to Discord. It's the central part of our bot, handling everything from login into Discord, receiving events, sending messages, managing servers, and many other functionalities. When we create a new instance of the client class, we're essentially creating a bot that will communicate with the Discord API. We can use this to listen for events, like when a message is sent or when a member joins the server, and also send messages or perform actions in servers. So let's create a new instance of the client class. I'll create a new constant, call client, which is equals to new instance of client. And inside, we can configure some properties inside an object. For example, the intent property, which is required. The intent property is an array that lists the specific intent flags that our bot should subscribe to. So we need to add the code of each intent inside this array. However, instead of working with raw numbers or byte-wise flags, Discord.js provides constants to help us identify and use the intents more easily. So here inside the object, where we are extracting the client class, we can also extract the gateway intent bytes, which is a set of constants that represents different types of events our bot can listen. So inside the intent array, we can call the gateway intent bytes, we just imported, and let's add the guilds constant to receive events related to guilds, which in Discord is the same as server. For example, when our bot joins or leaves a server. And let's add another intent here. So gateway intent byte dot guild messages. This allows our bot to receive events when messages are sent in the guild channels. Soon we'll add other intents here. Now here on Discord, our bot is offline, and to put our bot online, back on the code, down here I'll call the client constant dot login method. And inside we need to pass a token, which we can get it on the Discord developers portal by clicking on the bot option on the left, and under token, as you can see, for security purposes, the token can only be viewed once when created. So in this case, we have to generate a new one by clicking on reset token. On the dialog, we can confirm the token reset by clicking on yes, and then enter our Discord account password. And here's the token. Make sure to create and generate your own bot with its own token, because after the video, I'll be removing this bot, consequently the token as well. So let's copy this token here, and we need to store this securely inside our .env file. So I'll create a new environment variable called discord underscore token equals to, and let's paste the token here. Okay, now inside the bot.js file, let's import and initialize the .env dependency to access our environment variables. So here on the top, I'll add require .env. And here on the end, .config method. Now inside the login method, we can grab our token by calling process.env.discord underscore token variable. And let's listen to our first event, checking if our bot is online and ready. We have to write the event listeners before calling the login method to ensure they are ready to handle events immediately after the bot logs in. If we set them up after calling the login method, there's a risk that the bot could miss events that occurs right after login, because the listeners wouldn't have been active yet. So before calling login, we can call the client constant .once method, which adds a one-time listener, and the first parameter is the event name, and we can add the ready event, and the second parameter is a callback function that will be executed once the ready event is triggered. So let's just write a simple message on the console. And I'll add something like bot is online. Now let's test this to see if the bot will be online. So back on the terminal, let's run the bot.js file by typing node, bot.js, or just bot. Hit enter. Great, it shows bot is online on the console, and if we check here on the Discord, our bot is online. Perfect. Now we can write other event listeners, for example, whenever a user sends a message in a channel inside the server where the bot is installed. So below the ready event listener, I'll call client.on method. And just like the once method, the first parameter is the event name. So to listen for messages, we can add the message, create event. And the second parameter is a callback function that will be executed once the event is triggered. So the difference between on method and once is that on keeps listening for the event every time it happens. And once listen only the first time the event happens, then it stops listening. So on the callback function, as a parameter, it will send the message details. So we can call this parameter message, for example. And let's write on the console the message parameter so we can see what we'll receive. And every time we change something on our bot.js file, we'll need to restart the bot here on the terminal by pressing Ctrl+C to stop the bot, and then run again node bot command to make the bot online again. Okay, bot is online. Now let's go back to Discord, and inside the general channel, for example, let's send a message, hello, and send. Now let's check on the terminal. Here are the message details we received. So for example, the author object, which contains the user details that send the message. The channel ID is the ID of the channel that the message was sent. The guild's ID, which is the server ID. And the message itself is the content property. But note that it's empty here. That's because we haven't enabled the message content intent yet. Since Discord requires explicit permission to access message content for privacy reasons, our bot isn't able to read the actual text of the message unless we toggle that permission in the Discord developer portal. So to fix this, on the Discord developers portal, inside the bot option, which is already opened here, scroll down to the message content intent and toggle this option. Then we can click on Save Changes. Now back on the code, we need to add one more intent here on the intent array, which is the message content. So I'll call the gateway intent bytes dot message content constant. Okay, now let's restart our bot to apply these changes. So back on the terminal, I'll stop the bot by pressing Ctrl+C and run again node bot command. Okay, bot is online. Now back on Discord. Let's send the hello message again on the general channel. Now let's check on the console. And here's the content equals to hello. So now we can handle messages sent from the server channels. So for example, if a user sends hello, our bot will send hello back. Let me remove this console log from here. And I'll add an if statement and check if the message parameter dot content is equals to hello. And after the content here, I'll add two lowercase method. So if a user sends hello with a capital H or all in uppercase, we'll handle the same way. Now inside this if statement, let's reply hello back. So I'll call the message parameter dot channel property. This refers to the channel where the message was sent. Then dot send method. This method sends a message to the channel. And inside we can type the message, so we'll send hello. Okay, and let's restart our bot here on the terminal. Okay, now back on Discord, I'll send hello again. And note that the bot is replying with multiple hello messages. That's because the bot is responding to its own message, which leads to an infinite loop. And note that after around 5 or 6 replies, it stops for a few seconds because of Discord's rate limit. Let me stop the bot here to stop sending these replies. And to fix this, what we can do is check if the message is being sent by the bot itself, and then ignore it. So above the if statement here, I'll add another if statement and check if the message parameter .author property .bot, which is a property that returns true if the user sending the message is a bot, and false if it's a human. So if this if statement returns true, we can simply call the return statement to ignore the rest of the code. Actually, we can write this in one line. Great, let's test all this again. So back on the terminal, let's restart our bot. And back on Discord, if we send hello again, great, the bot replies with hello back and nothing else happens. Because after the bot sends the message, it falls again on the message create event listener function, but now it's ignoring if the message is from the bot. Perfect. Now there's a lot we can do inside the message create event. For example, our bot can track if some user sends an offensive word and then take action like deleting the message or warning the user. Let's start by checking if the message contains any words that we consider offensive. We'll define a list of those words and then check if the message includes any of them. Of course, in a real application, you might want to consider storing these words on a database, but since this is just for learning purposes, I'll create an array storing these words. So I'll create this array directly on the code, here on the top, so we can use inside the bot.js file. So I'll create a new constant here, call offensive content, and this is equals to an array. And I'll add here, for example, bad word 1 and bad word 2. And we could add phrases as well containing spaces. So I'll add, for example, offensive word. Okay. Now inside the message create event listener. First, let me add a try block here below this if statement and a catch block with an error parameter. And let me cut this if statement from here and paste inside the try block. Now we'll add all checks inside the try block. If something wrong happens, we can handle inside the catch block. So for now, let's just write the error on the console. So I'll add console.error. And inside, I'll add something like an error occurred, and then comma, and the error parameter. Okay, now back on the try block. Before checking if the message is hello, I'll add another if statement, and I'll call the offensive content constant array, and we can use the sum method. This is a JavaScript method that checks if the message content includes any item from the offensive content array. This means it will match both single words and phrases. So inside this method, we can grab each content from the array, add an arrow function, and we can call the message parameter from the event listener dot content to get the message sent dot to lowercase to make it case insensitive. And here we can call the dot includes method, which is also a JavaScript method that checks if a given string or array contains a specific value. And inside we can add the content parameter from the sum method. Okay, so if any offensive word or phrase is found in the message, we can handle inside this if statement. So for example, let's delete the message and send a message back warning the user to avoid using offensive language. So to delete the message, we can call the message parameter dot delete method. And since this is a promise, we can add here on the beginning the await to wait for the delete method to be executed. But now we need to add here on the beginning of the callback function the async word, and then we can send a message back warning the user. So I'll call await the message parameter dot channel dot send method, and inside I'll add backticks and I'll add $sign and curly braces, and let's show the name of the user, which we can grab it from the message dot author dot global name property, and I'll add a comma, and then the message, please avoid using offensive language. And below, let's add a return to not execute the rest of the code down here. Okay, now before we test this, we need to add one more permission to our bot because we're deleting a message here. So we need to add the manage messages permission. So back on the Discord developer portal, let's select the OAuth 2 option on the left. So again, we need to set all configurations from before. So let's select the bot on scopes, set the send messages permission, and now the manage messages permission as well. Now let's copy the generated URL again, open the tab that we have installed our bot from before, and paste the URL here. Okay, click on continue, and now it shows the manage messages permission here as well. So we can click on authorize to update our bot with the permissions. Perfect. Now we can test all this. So back on the terminal, let's restart the bot. Okay, bot is online. Now let's open Discord. And I'll send something like hi, comma, bad word 1. Great, the message was deleted, and the bot replied with the message manfra.io, please avoid using offensive language. Let's test with another message here. So I'll type something like good morning. This is an example offensive word. Because example offensive word phrase we added inside our array. Perfect, it deleted the message and warned us once again. So now our bot is managing messages by deleting offensive words from a list that we can configure. And we could store in a database the ID of the server as well, so each server will have its own list of offensive words. So inside this event, we're handling the offensive words. We could query on the database for the server ID, which is the guild ID, get the offensive words list from that specific server, and check from here, so our bot will be more dynamic. We could also store the user ID and track, for example, if a user sent more than 3 offensive words, we could ban the user from the server temporarily, for example. We can also send a message directly to the user and not send on the channel for everyone to see. So here on the code, instead of calling message.channel.send, we can replace the channel here to .author. That will send a direct message to the user. Let's restart our bot. Now back on Discord. This time I'll send bad word 2, for example. Great, the message was deleted, and note that the bot sent a direct message here with the message to avoid using offensive language. So this way is a more private warning and the entire channel doesn't have to see it. Perfect. So basically anything a user types in a channel can trigger the message create event. And we can do a lot here, like integrate AI to make the bot reply with intelligent responses based on user input. We can save all messages in a log, we can react to a message, and a lot more. The message create event is super versatile. Let's check other events that our bot can listen to. For example, when a new member joins the server or leaves the server. So below the message create event listener, I'll call client.on. And we're going to listen to the guild member add event. And a callback function. And as a parameter, it will send details of the new member. So we can call this parameter member, for example. And for now, let's log the member parameter just so we can see what's inside. So console.log member. But to use this event listener, we need to add another intent here on the client intents array. So I'll add the gateway intent bytes dot guild members intent. And we need to enable this intent on the Discord developers portal as well. So here on the bot option on the left, let's scroll down to the privilege gateway intent. And previously we enabled the message content intent. And now we need to enable the server members intent to have access to members event listeners. Okay, click on save changes. Now back on the code. Let's restart our bot on the terminal. Okay, back on Discord. Let's invite a user to join the server where we have our bot installed. To do so, we can click on the drop-down server options here on the top and click on Invite People. Or here on the left side, we can right-click on the server icon and select the same option from here. This will generate a link that will expire in 7 days. So let's copy this link. And here on the browser, what I'll do is open a new incognito window so we can log on a different Discord account. So I'll visit discord.com. And this time I'll log with a different Discord account. Okay, so this is one of my personal accounts as well. And note that there is only one server here, which is empty. So I'll use the invitation link we just copied to join the manfred.io server. So here on the left, we can click on the plus sign to add a server, and then click on join a server on the bottom, and paste the link on the invite link input. Then click on join server. Okay, perfect. So the manfred.io server appears here on the left. And inside we have the general and the new users channel. And let me open the members list here on the top. Okay, here's the manfred.io user and the bot we created. Now, if we check on the console, here are all the details we received on the member parameter. For example, the server the new member joined, and the member count. So currently we have 3 members. The user details like ID, username. So we have a lot of useful information here. Now, what our bot can do is send a welcome direct message whenever a user joins the server. So here on the guild member add event listener, let me get rid of this console log here, and I'll add a try and catch block with the error parameter. So if there's any error, let's write on the console. So let me copy the same code from the catch block up here on the message create event and paste on the catch block here. Now inside the try block, we can call await, and let me add async here on the beginning. And after the await, we can call the member parameter dot user dot send method. And inside, I'll add backticks here, and I'll send something like welcome, and then $sign and curly braces. And let's grab the name of the user. So member dot user dot, and we could show the username property or the full name of the user, which is the global name property. And then we're happy to have you here. Okay, now before we test this, let's add another event listener when the user leaves the server. So below the guild member add event, I'll add client dot on, and now we're gonna listen for the guild member remove event. And then the callback function. And it will also send the member details as a parameter, so we can call member as well. And let's add async here on the beginning, just like for the guild member add event function. And what we can do here is send a message to one of the channels informing that the user left the server. So let's send on the general channel, for example, which is the default system channel. So here inside the event listener, I'll add the try block and the catch block with the error parameter. And inside here, let me copy the code from one of the catch blocks up here and paste inside here. Now inside the try block, to grab the general channel, which is called a system channel, let's create a new constant here. Call system channel, which is equals to the member parameter dot guild dot system channel property. And let's add an if statement, checking if the system channel exists. Because let's say, for example, a user deleted or disabled the general channel. Discord will no longer have a system channel to send messages to, so an admin user on the server would have to configure a new default system channel. Okay, so if there is a system channel, let's send a message on this channel. So I'll call await the system channel constant dot send, and inside I'll add backticks, $, and curly braces, and let's add the username this time. So member dot user dot username property, and then has left the server. Okay, and if there isn't a system channel, it won't send a message to any channel. But we could save this in some kind of history log, like a database to keep track of members when they joined the server or when they left, for example. And note that we added async and await here, but we could remove it from both these event listeners because we don't need to wait for the message to be sent to execute another function. But we can leave it here. Now let's test all this. So on the terminal, let's restart our bot. Okay, and on the Discord from the incognito window, I'll leave the manfra.io server, so we can click on the drop-down server options here on the top and click on leave server. Or right-click on the server icon on the left and click on the same option. It will ask to confirm. We can click on leave server. Okay, so I'm no longer on the manfras.io server. Now if we check on the other Discord, where I'm logged with manfra.io user, and here on the general channel, our bot sent Bruno Manfrinato has left the server, because the general channel by default is the system channel. Great, so the guild member remove event listener is working perfectly. Now let's add the user again on the server to test if our bot will send a direct message to the new user. So here on Discord, I'll right click on the server icon, click on invite people to generate another invite link, copy the link, and on the Discord from the incognito window, I'll click on add a server again, then join a server, and paste the link on the invite link input. Click on join server. Perfect, we receive a new direct message from the bot saying welcome Bruno Manfrinato, we're happy to have you here. Perfect, so both event listeners are working perfectly, and we could do a lot more here, like saving all members' events on a database for a history log. Now, one really cool feature in Discord is the ability to use / commands. These are interactive commands that let users easily interact with bots by simply typing a / followed by the command name. Discord then automatically shows suggestions, descriptions, and even parameters, making it super easy for users to engage with bots without needing to remember complex syntax. So here on Discord, if we add a / on the message input, note that it shows multiple built-in / commands. For example, we can ban or kick a user from the server, and this /me command sends a text with emphasis. So for example, it accepts an extra parameter that is the message. So here I'll type good morning all, and note that it sends the message in italics. And we can create custom / commands for our bot, but unfortunately we cannot create / commands through the Discord developers platform. Instead, we need to use the Discord API. So imagine that we have some kind of application or dashboard to control our bot, like how many servers are using, how many users are using, and to manage these / commands like creating, updating, and deleting. So here on the index.js file, let's create a new function below the register function to create / commands. So I'll add async function, and let's call this create / command. And soon we're gonna add parameters here, and inside I'll add a try and a catch block with the error parameter. And just like we're handling all catch blocks, let's add the console.error, and inside I'll add the message an error occurred, and then comma and the error parameter. Okay, now inside the try block, to create / commands for our bot, we could use Axios to make HTTP requests to the Discord API. But the Discord.js library offers a class called REST, which makes it easy to communicate directly with the Discord API. So we could, for example, send messages to users or channels, create, delete, or update a channel, kick or ban users, get details from servers, channels, and users. And we can do a lot with the Discord API using the REST class from Discord.js library. So here on the top, let's import the Discord.js dependency and extract the REST class. So I'll add a new constant with an empty object equals to require Discord.js. And inside the object, we're going to extract the REST class, all in uppercase. Now we need to create a new instance of the REST class. So I'll create a new constant called REST in lowercase equals to a new instance of the REST class. And we can configure some options inside an object. For example, the version property. And let's add 10. Actually, I think the default is 10. Let me check here. Yes, the default is 10, but let's leave it implicit here. And we need to pass our Discord token to this class by setting the .setToken method, which we can get it from the .env file that we already imported and initialize here. So I'll call process.env. And let me copy the name of the variable that we're storing our token here on the .env file and paste inside here. Okay, and inside the try block on the create/command function, I'll add a wait and call the rest constant dot, and now we can use rest methods like get and patch, post, put, and delete, for example. And to create /commands, we need to use the put method. And inside, we need to pass the route on Discord API that creates a /command. And Discord.js library provides a predefined API endpoint URLs for interacting with Discord's HTTP API. So here on the top, inside the object, we can also extract the route, which is basically a helper containing constants of the endpoint from Discord API. So inside the REST put method, we can call the route object dot, and note that there are a lot of endpoints we can call from Discord API. And to create a /command, we need the application commands method. Note that we also have an application command in singular, which manages just one /command that is already created. So here we need to use the application commands in plural. And if we check the details on this method, note that as a parameter, we need to inform the application ID, which is the client ID of our bot. And it also shows the URL that it's going to call and all the REST methods that we can use. So let's grab the client ID on the Discord developer portal by clicking on the auth2 option. And here's the client ID, so let's copy. And let's store inside the .env file as well. So I'll create a new environment variable called Discord_client_ID and paste the client ID here. Now back on the index.js file, let's pass the client ID here on the application commands method. So process.env.discord_client_ID. Okay? Now as a second parameter on the put method, we can configure some properties inside an object. In our case is the body property, which is the request body we need to send. And this is equals to an array because we can create one or multiple /commands at the same time. So I'll add an object here. So the first property we can configure is the name of the /command. That means the name that will appear when we type a / on the message input. And since we're going to make this function dynamic, let's add the name parameter here on the function. And we could add the name property equals to the name parameter, but since the key name is the same as the value name, so we can leave just one name here that JavaScript will understand. And we can also send a description property, which will show a description below this command name. So we'll also add as a parameter on the function, so description, and we can leave just description here since the key name is the same as the value name. Okay, let's leave like this for now, but soon we'll add parameters here for this /command. And if everything works and the slash command is created, let's print a message on the console saying something like slash command created. Now let's call the create slash command here on the bottom. Let me comment this register function here. So create slash command. And for this first example, let's create a slash command that will send a motivational quote to the user. So the name we can add as quote. And the description, I'll add something like get a random motivational quote. Okay? Now, before testing this, we need to add another permission to our bot. So back on Discord developer portal, on the auth2 page, which is already opened, let's generate another URL to install or update our bot. So I'll select the bot scope again. And now we need to select the application.commands scope as well. And for the permissions, so we have selected before the send messages permission and the manage messages permission. And now we need to select the use slash commands permission. So this part of generating a URL every time we need a permission is a bit laborious, but this is just during the development of our bot. Okay, so let me copy the generated URL here. And on another tab, let's paste. Okay, click on continue. And now besides the send and manage messages, it also asks for the use application commands permission. Okay, we can click on authorize. Perfect, our bot is updated. Now back on the code. Let's run the index.js file that will run the create slash command function. So here on the terminal, I'll leave our bot running on this terminal and I'll open a new one so we can run the index.js file. So I'll type node index. Perfect, we got slash command created. Now back on Discord. Let's type a slash here. And great, here's our quote command under our bot name here and the description below. So we create our slash command, but if we select and send, note that it's taking some time, and we got an error saying the application did not respond. That's because now we need to create another event listener to listen for slash commands and then handle them inside the callback function. So here on the bot.js file, let's create another event listener. Let me just hide these other event listeners. And I'll create below here. So client.on. And now we're going to listen for the interaction create event. And for the callback function, I'll add async, arrow function. And as a parameter, it will send details of the interaction. That means the slash command. So let's call this parameter interaction. And inside, just like for the other event listener callback functions, let's add the try and the catch blocks with the error parameter. And inside the catch block, let's copy one of the code from a catch block up here. And paste. Okay, now inside the try block, I'll add an if statement and check if the interaction parameter dot command name property is equals to our quote slash command we just created. If so, let's send a random motivational quote to the user, and we can have a database to store the quotes, or we can call an API that will send a random quote as a response. There are a lot of free APIs that does that. For this video, let's use one called Zen Quotes, which is free to use. So for example, let me open a new tab on the browser, and the Zen Quotes API URL to get random quotes is zenquotes.io/API/random. And note that we got an array as a response with an object inside, with the Q property, which is the quote, and the A property, which is the author name of that quote. And if we refresh the page, it sends a different quote from a different author. So back on the code, let's use Axios to call the ZenQuote API. So let's import here on the top, const Axios equals to require Axios. Now inside the event listener, I'll create a new constant called response equals to await axios.get method, and inside I'll add the Zen quote API URL. Let me copy here from the browser and paste. Okay, and let's reply back with the quote and the author name as well. So I'll call await the interaction parameter dot reply method, and inside I'll add backticks here. And first let's send the quote, so $sign in curly braces, and let's call the response constant, and Axios sends the response inside a data property, so .data, and ZenQuote sends the object response inside an array here. So let's grab the first item from the array and probably the only item. So we can add an array and the 0 index, and the quote property is the Q property, so .q. Now let's add the author name, so I'll add a dash, $sign, curly braces, the response, .data, and grab the first index, and the author name is the A property, so .a. And let's format the quote in italic. So in Discord, we can wrap the message with an asterisk on the beginning and on the end of the part we want to format as italic. And we can also format as bold. And to format as bold, we can use a double asterisk. Now, if we want to format as italic and bold at the same time, we can wrap in a triple asterisk. So let's leave as italic and bold to highlight the quote. And let's wrap in double quotes as well. Okay, let's test this. So let me open the bot terminal and restart. Okay, now back on Discord. Let's try to send the quote again. So slash and select the quote. Perfect, here's the quote saying whatever your mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. And the author is Napoleon Hill. And note that the quote is highlighted and formatted with italic and bold. Awesome. So our slash command is working perfectly. Now let's add a parameter to our quote slash command. And let's say, for example, I want to receive a quote, but I want to have the option to show this quote just for my user and not to everyone in the channel. Discord allows us to reply to a slash command by setting a flag called ephemeral. This flag makes a message visible only to the user who triggered the command. It's useful for private feedbacks. So let's add a parameter to our quote slash command called private, for example, and we're going to configure as a Boolean type. So by default, it will send the quote to everyone in the channel, but if the user set this parameter to true, it will set the ephemeral flag on the interaction reply function to send only to the user that triggered the command. So here on the index.js file, we can set one or multiple parameters to a slash command. So here inside the body property, we can set the options property, which is equals to an array of objects, and each object is a parameter we can send to the slash command. So we can set the name of the parameter, and let's call this private, and let's add a description property for this parameter. So I'll add something like if true, the quote will only be visible to you. Okay, now we can set the type of the parameter, and this is equals to an integer value referring to the type. So here's the complete list of parameter types we can send. The most used ones are string type, which is 3, integer, which is 4, boolean, which is 5, we can send a user, which is 6, and this will show a list of all users on the server. We can select a channel as well, which is number 7, and it'll show a complete list of channels in the server, and many other types we can set, making your interactions more dynamic and flexible. So the private parameter we're setting is a Boolean type, so we can set this to 5, but Discord.js library provides a constants object which helps us specifying the type of the parameter, rather than manually setting numeric values. So here on the Discord.js import, inside the object, let's extract the application, command, option type object. And here inside the type property, we can call the application command option type object dot, and we can select the type we need. So let's select the Boolean type. And last, we can set the required property, which is a Boolean value, and if set to true, the user must set this parameter, otherwise the parameter is optional. So we can set it to false to make it optional. Great! So we could set other parameters here by adding another object, but for the quote/command, let's leave just the private parameter. Now to make this more dynamic, instead of setting the options array directly here, let's add on the function as a parameter. So after the description parameter, I'll add options, and down here, let's cut this entire options array and remove this column from here, leaving just the option property, which is the same as the option parameter. And down here, where we're calling the create/command function, let me just format this and paste inside the function call. Great. Now let's handle this new private parameter inside our bot file. So inside the interaction create event listener, inside the if statement where we're handling the quote command, let's grab the private parameter. So above the response constant, I'll add another constant called private equals to interaction parameter dot options property dot get boolean method, because we set as a boolean type, and inside the name of the parameter, which is private. Now to set a ephemeral flag on the interaction reply method, instead of sending the message directly here inside the method, let me cut from here, and now we can add an object, and the message will send inside the content property and paste the message. Now we need to set the flags property, and we should use constant object here provided by Discord.js library, which is called message flags. So here on the import, inside the object, let's extract the message flags object. Now back on the interaction, create event listener. Inside the flags property, we can use a ternary operator to check if the private parameter is set to true. So I'll call private and a question mark. So if set to true, let's call the message flags we just imported dot and select the ephemeral option. And add a column which represents an else statement, then we'll send 0. That means we're not setting any flag. Great, now let's test all this. So here on the bot terminal, let's restart our bot. Okay, bot is online. Now on the other terminal tab, let's run the index.js file that will run our create/command function and update the quote command on our bot. Okay, /command created, and we could change this message to /command created or updated, but this is fine. Now back on Discord. Now if we type slash, oh wait, let me refresh the page here to apply the changes. Okay, now type slash. Great, now the quote command shows one optional parameter called private. So when we select the command, note that it shows the name here, private, and the description we added. And if we press space, it shows the options true or false. So let's select true and press enter to send. Perfect. Now only my user can see the quote, and it shows a note here saying only you can see this. So if we open the incognito window, where another user is logged, here on the general channel, the message is not visible. Now let's test sending the quote command from this user. So /quote, but this time I won't set the private parameter. Perfect, here's the quote, and everyone now in the server can see the quote inside the channel. Awesome. So we could add other /commands with other parameters and set different types of parameters. For example, here on Discord, if we want to ban or kick a user, if we type a /ban, there is a user parameter that shows a list of all users on the server. We can apply these for a channel list as well. All we need to do is set the type to application command option type .user or .channel, for example, that Discord will show a drop-down list. And we might want to build a REST API for our bot using Express, for example, so only the creators of the bot would have access to create slash commands and access other important details like how many servers are accessing our bot. If our bot is paid, we could deal with financial details. So here on the index.js file, let's create a function that will show all servers that are using our bot. So below the create slash command function, I'll create another async function called get bot servers, for example, and inside the try and catch blocks with the error parameter. And let me copy the code from the catch block up here and paste. Now inside the try block, the REST class offers a route to fetch all servers that are using the bot. So I'll create a new constant called servers equals to await the REST constant dot get method, and inside I'll call the routes object constant dot, and we can use the user guilds method which returns all servers that have the bot installed. So let's just write on the console the servers constant. So console.log servers constant. Now below here, let me comment the create slash command function call and call the get bot servers function. And here on the terminal, let's run the index file. So node index. Great. So only the manfra.io server is using our bot for now. Now let me open the incognito window where my other user is logged, and let's leave the manfra.io server by right-clicking on it and select leave server. Okay, confirm. And since our bot is online on the other Discord account, on the general channel, our bot sent a message informing that Bruno Manfrinato has left the server. Now back on the other Discord account, we already have a server created here. Let's install the manfra.io's bot on the server. So I'll open a new tab here and let me copy the generated URL here on the Discord developer platform with all the scopes and permissions and paste on the new tab. Okay, so we're going to install on Bruno Manfrinato server. We can click on continue, then on authorize, verify that we're not a robot. Okay, bot is installed, and we can see here on the general channel that my bot is online. So now we have access to slash commands and other functionalities we implemented. Now back on the code, let's run the index file again. So node index. Perfect. Now two servers are using the bot, Bruno Manfrinato server and the manfra.io server. Awesome. This type of information is important so we can have an idea how popular is our bot. So we learned in this video how to integrate Discord with a Node.js application by using channel webhooks to send a message to a specific channel every time something happens on our application. And we learned how to create a complete Discord bot by listening to events, handle user messages, and slash commands by using the client class. We also learned how to use the REST class to make HTTP requests to the Discord API and many other functionalities using the discord.js library. I'll leave the GitHub repo link for this tutorial on the description below. Hope this video was helpful to you, and if it was, please click on the like button and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching and hope to see you on the next video.